Unlock your leadership potential. Our next guest has experience with empowering people with his special program, Lead2Goals. Joining me now is author and speaker, Scott DeLong. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, wonderful to have you this morning.
I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, so before we get into the book, the program you created,
Sure.
talk to me a little bit about your background and what sort of led you onto this path.
So I grew up as an athlete and then went into business, and in both situations I had these command and controlled leadership styles that were taught to me, right? My coaches were all tough, hard men, and I thrived in it. I did really well. So as I started owning my own businesses, and I've had 3 entrepreneurial startups and exits, I employed a lot of those same qualities, right? Being the smartest guy in the room and making the rules and having people follow my lead. A few things happened as I got a bit older. I went back to school pretty late in life. Went back to school in my 50s, ended up getting a doctorate when I turned 60, actually.
Wow.
And that was one of the things that happened to me, seeing the world from leadership from a different position. I also joined an organization called Entrepreneur Organization, which had small groups and it was all men in my small group, where we would get together and we'd sit once a month and we'd share about our experiences. And what was interesting is that I didn't grow up sharing experiences and feelings and things like that, right? So school and Entrepreneurs Organization all happened at the same time. And then a third thing happened to my family. We had some addiction issues in the family. And my wife and I went to Al-Anon and Nar-Anon meetings, and again, the same small group concepts. And some things really hit me all at about the same time. And that's what led to the work that I did. So I ended up coming up with 3 principles that certainly didn't grow up with, but ended up being very powerful to me. And those were humility, empathy, and vulnerability, which when I grew up, in the 70s, men didn't do that, right? We weren't there.
Yeah,
right?
especially vulnerability, right? That word can be a little bit...
Especially vulnerability,
yeah.
right? And so I started putting these things together and realized that they're not just great principles for life, but they're great principles for leadership as well.
Yes.
In fact, it gets even a little bit deeper than that I don't believe that the old command and control leadership style, which is still employed today, is going to be working in the future. The millennials and the Gen Zs just aren't going to put up with us. They're not. We raised them to not put up with us, and we can't use those same techniques, right?
That's a great point.
That's what I tell my customers all the time. I said, they're not going anywhere. We raised them, right? And they're our customers, they are our employees, and they are our future.
Yes.
So it's not them that has to change, it's us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I love that, and I love that you touched on those 3 main points there. Yeah. I think it is so critical for a leader to have that, to be a great leader. And so talk to me a little bit about the book and also where the program came into play.
Sure. Well, the program came before the book. So I've been teaching the leadership philosophies to organizations, and typically an organization will hire me. A boss will hire me to fix their people.
Okay.
Right? Not realizing he or she is the problem.
Yes.
It's usually he is the problem, frankly. Women get these concepts a little bit better than us older guys do, right? But they brought me in to teach communication, improve communication, and improve levels of trust, and therefore leadership, those concepts. So the book came about because I had a lot to say, and I really wanted to focus on these 3 principles and tell the world that the old school is not going to work anymore. I shouldn't say it's not going to work. It is efficient.
Right.
The problem with that is that we will only ever be as smart as whoever's giving those orders and that direction, rather than the shared experience of all of us. So that's the piece of humility that comes to play, is regardless of whether I think it's the smartest person in the room or not, there are other people in the room that are going to add value.
Yes.
And I can learn from anybody.
Well, Scott, this has been wonderful. I truly wish we could talk for much longer than this, but thank you so much for sharing your insight, your background, and what you're doing to really, really help businesses and how they kind of go with the times now and what's going to make effective leadership. So thank you for coming in this morning.
Thanks for giving me the time to do it.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it.
To learn more about Scott's program, just head to lead2goals.com.